Hi, welcome back to Academic Market Insights. I'm Dr. Russell Rhodes, joined by, I think she's on that side, Dr. Larissa Ademiak. We are going to, we've been doing a series on some of the more in the weeds statistical measures and how to calculate them in Excel and what they mean. And this is almost like a third one. In fact, I think we're going to use some of the same data from the covariance matrix that we did in a previous video. I'm probably going to link back and forth to these two in the comments. But in this video, we're going to talk about the stability of covariance, and we're going to talk about distinct market regimes. And what we mean by market regimes, in my world, because I'm very volatility oriented, are we in a high volatility market regime or a low volatility market regime? A lot of people may define them as bullish, bearish, or neutral markets as well. So with all of that word salad, I'm going to hand things off to Dr. Ademiak.
Well, and it's funny you should say that because additionally, economists look at it differently.
Yeah.
So they're
Oh,
looking at
yeah.
regimes as whether or not we're in a growth or contraction or anyway, but they're very distinct regimes that
Mhm.
come up in economics. And some risk managers like to look at things a little bit differently. And this again is some of the fun. Okay. So this is from our last video, and we are looking at a covariance matrix from 99 until 2026. So we're looking at really 25 years worth of data. Okay. Now, for fun, because it's always fun, we're just going to grab SPX. We could be looking at this from the perspective of other assets, but we don't really need to. And I'm going to ask for suggestions from the audience, Dr. Rowe, from time to time. So let's go ahead and just graph our prices.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm going to move this to the top because we're also going to look at the returns. See if we can see some volatilities here. So we're going to do this all a little bit quickly because we really want to see. So all we're doing is simply graphing. We're putting in our dates, just the price data. Now we're going to look at returns because we can see clear, bold time periods. And again, we're looking at 25 years. So we're going to say today's price minus yesterday's price divided by yesterday's price. We'll call this SPX returns. Insert line graph.
Ooh, that's going to be ziggy zaggy.
Oh, it is. Select data. Let's grab our dates. Okay. Let's move this up underneath our price so we can see some observations. Let's also, I'm just going to format the data series just really quickly. This is just me. This has nothing to do with actual finance, just for more ease of visibility of what's happening. Okay. So we're looking at basically, let me see if I can line them up a little bit better. So we can clearly see our returns are fairly centered around zero for different parts. And this corresponds with slow uprising prices. That would be a bullish or normal market environment. These are the environments that we like. They're not so exciting. They're kind of boring,
Yeah.
but we like boring. We can see lots of changes in returns. And this is during the 2008 crises. We can see lots during COVID, right? So we can see these spikes and you can see where prices go down. And again, if we were to develop something a little bit bigger, we could throw VIX in and we can see how that it's the inverse of it. And that's a lot of fun to look at. But we can start to now more clearly see different regimes in the economy. So, Dr. Rowe, what regime would you like to take a look at?
Oh, what time period on there?
Yeah, so
Hmm.
it can be a handful of years, it can be 1 year,
Well,
several
what?
years.
See, I keep looking at the boring one, but I don't
And we
know.
can go with the boring, but remember the covariance matrix that we're going to look at it
Uh-huh.
compared to is the entire time period. So even if we went to a like more volatile time period, we'll see a difference.
Well, then let's do, I don't know, the 3 year period, 2018, 2019, 20, you know what, 2019, 2020, and 2021, because that is like the calm before the COVID storm, and then the bullishness as we got out of it.
Okay, so 2021,
All kinds of goofiness there.
2022. All right, so we are going to take and rename this just so that's easy, graphs. We're going to grab this data. And yes, if you're doing this in Python, it could be a lot easier just to cut this data. But we're doing this in Excel, and you will see how we manually do it. It is not so exciting. It
Yeah,
is not.
I don't mind using the reason I like Excel, and it's not a laziness thing. I like to actually see the data behind the things that I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And you're
I
able
do.
to, if let's say you graphed this out and all of a sudden on the price graph, there's this dip down out of nowhere.
Mhm.
If you can't dig into the data, you have no idea what that's telling you. So that's why
I
I
know,
like
I agree.
Excel is because you can like, all right, let me go find that, what date was that? And is that an accurate data point? And I feel like being able to see the numbers like this kind of useful for me. Probably I know when I was doing my dissertation, my dissertation chair was like, I don't want you using Excel for anything. So I just didn't tell him that I did, but I did.
I got to level with you. I botched this up, but that's
Did you?
okay. No, 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 that's fine. So just so any student watch this, show you how easy to make these kinds of mistakes.
Uh,
I actually needed all four securities, and I only grabbed one.
well then,
So I'm going to redo the dates. This is really fast and easy.
yeah.
And I also, again, for my particular students, you can see we make mistakes all the time. And another point that's really great about using Excel, to Dr. Rowe's point, it was easy for me to visually see that I made the
Look what I
mistake.
did. Yeah.
So, so we are getting our data ready, and we're just looking at this time period.
Just
Now, Dr. Rowe picked a time period that's going to have multiple, you could say, states of the economy.
mhm.
So I'm going to be curious if it's going to be more reflective of the 25 years or if it's going to be different. So again, to recalculate or to calculate the covariance matrix, we need our returns. So we're going to go ahead and grab this, and we're going to go ahead and calculate returns. Since we are not calculating portfolio standard deviation, we don't need anything else but the returns to calculate that covariance.
Gotcha. It doesn't have anything to do with portfolio weightings. It has to do with the relationship of each instrument with each other.
Right,
What a
exactly.
good way
Thank
to.
you.
Okay.
And I appreciate you throwing that in because I did not mention that. That's
Well,
exactly what the covariance matrix is doing.
you're also talking and typing, and it's easier to talk when you're not typing.
So we're going to grab that covariance. And I can't remember if I included the rows. I do this every single time.
You did.
I included the rows.
You did. You did include the title. Yeah.
And let me pick a spot. I'm going to put it up here. Is it okay?
Boom.
Okay, boom. So now let me quickly fill this in. This is NDX and SPY and RT. Fix. RTY and NASDAQ. VIX and NASDAQ. VIX, and here we go. Okay, now let's go to the sheet one.
And that's the full,
That's the full period.
yeah, on the other sheet. Yeah.
I'm going to do paste special values. Okay, so this is, let me just, so that we're constantly full of what we're doing. This is going to be 2019 through 2022. And this is 2000 through 2025.
Okay.
We're looking.
The first one was 2021. I just know because I picked it.
Oh, I included 2019. I apologize.
No,
I
I did
did.
29. I said 2019 through 2021 because it
Okay.
included leading up to the COVID thing and then coming out of it. I probably picked the goofiest market period ever.
No, but you said 2020 and I grabbed 2019. And we
No,
can
no, I
move
wanted
forward.
19. I wanted
Okay, good.
19, I wanted 20, and I wanted 21.
Well,
That's
I also included 22 just for kicks.
leave it in there. Sorry, my bad.
But we can already see substantial changes
Yeah.
in the data. And that was my whole goal for this little
Mhm.
exercise that we're doing. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can more clearly see it. But we can see differences in these values. I'm trying to think if there's a really big one. I think the Russell versus the VIX for the smaller one,
Oh,
more
yeah. That's,
substantial.
yeah.
VIX compared to VIX, more substantial. So we can see definitely changes within this
Mhm.
covariance matrix. And coming back full circle of why we really care about this and why we're spending some specific time about this is when you're looking at calculating that value at risk, if you change this covariance matrix, you're going to have a change in your value at risk. And coming back to our graphs, we can see as a risk manager, picking that proper regime or time frame to understand that covariance matrix is very important. One of the things that has been frequently discussed in when you're thinking about risk management is a lot of diversification benefits go out the window when we have a crash.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like one of those key CFA things that I always get a little bit of that I laugh a bit about in the material where it says, diversification, diversification, diversification. And then I think toward the end of the section on diversification, it says, however, diversification doesn't work when you need it most. It doesn't say it that way, but it's like everything goes down together. I had taken a look at how Bitcoin did a great job diversifying the stock portfolio, and then we hit 2020 and everything came under pressure, and it just didn't work anymore. And that's because we hadn't had in the life of Bitcoin, we hadn't had a really bearish financial market regime,
Mhm.
and it sure behaved differently. And that's one of the things I think we're still learning how Bitcoin will behave in different market regimes, and this would help us with that.
Well, and unfortunately, we won't learn that about Bitcoin until the market crash actually happens.
Yep. We still got a little ways to go on that
Yep.
one. We got the 2020 thing, but that wasn't economic. That was geopolitical. So
Right.
we need a true bearish market to see if Bitcoin's a great inflation hedge, or it's a good hedge when companies aren't making a whole lot of money, or any other kind of great hedge. So we'll find out someday.
We
For
will.
sure.
And with that, we hope you enjoyed our discussion on the instability of the covariance matrix and its importance, especially when we're looking at risk management. And if you like this video, please hit like. My kids get a big kick out of it. And if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. And again, we are open for comments and helpful, constructive criticism. We appreciate your support, and we are here to, provide information. So with that, thank you very much.